600 kilometers an hour drag racing here.
Completely different, yeah. It was a completely different class of cars as well. I mean,
And the second part of my question was, how do you distinguish between quality talent and the fluff?
fluff, yeah, that's right. It's very nuanced because you have many different roles and each role requires many different attributes. And if there's one piece of advice is to really know what you want to do.
Okay.
And having a clear why you're doing what you're doing
Okay.
is very apparent to hiring managers.
Okay. How has AI impacted your role as a recruiter?
Yeah, to be honest, I couldn't imagine going back to recruiting without AI.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've embraced it.
Okay.
Developed this agent that does this, and it does it 24/7 really.
Wow.
So you could, if you feel like it's 1 a.m. and you can't sleep and you feel like you want to look for a new job because you hate your boss or whatever, you can talk to this AI agent, and
Wow.
then the agent will determine if this person is eligible for any live roles we have, and then if it is, then it will automatically schedule a call or a Zoom call by looking at my calendar and then locking that in.
But
Yeah.
I do want to get your perspective as
Yeah.
well. So recruiters using, let's say, lead generation AI agents
Yeah.
for doing that initial conversation, making sure that they're eligible and they meet the they check the boxes. What would you think if the applicant on the other end is also using AI to answer those ticking box activities?
Yeah, that's when it gets into the matrix, where you got agents talking to each other.
Picture this. You're fresh out of uni, tinkering with mechatronics engineering, and then a motorbike crash flips your world upside down. You sling coffees, pivot to coding, and somehow end up recruiting the top AI minds in Australia. That's Daniel Kim, our guest today. He's a founder of Headhunted AI, and today on the Path to Tech podcast, we're unpacking his wild ride. From Perth to Sydney to Melbourne, from barista gigs to boardrooms, this guy has got a story and tips that you would not want to miss. Welcome back to the Path to Tech. I'm Vishal, your host who's all about helping you navigate the world of tech. Today I've got Daniel Kim, founder of Headhunted AI, a Melbourne-based recruitment agency hunting down top AI talent. Fun fact, Daniel cold emailed me last year for an AI role, and that's how we got to know each other, and one of my Skillers students also built a website for Daniel. So Daniel, stoked to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to have you here as well. I think we planned for this episode for the last couple of weeks,
Yeah.
and we are finally doing this. So I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, I'm pumped as well. Yeah.
Cool. So let's start from the very beginnings. I'm really interested to learn more about your basically childhood, what you were like. I know that you grew up in Perth with Korean parents. So tell me what the vibe was like. Were you a geeky kid, or did you hang out more in the beaches of Perth, or what were you like?
Yeah, I guess, wow, this is going back some time now. So, growing up in Perth to, I guess, immigrant parents from South Korea. My dad was initially a computer engineer. So he, had these big dreams of starting a computer software company in Australia, in Perth. He always claims, and he always says to me, ever since I was young, that he came up with the designs of the first laptop. So this is going back into the 1980s, so before Apple and Steve Jobs created their design or laptop, he reckons he had these designs for his thesis back in university.
Wow.
So I guess that's the kind of tech environment I grew up in. I do recall all the houses that we lived in. Back then, the garage would be just full of spare computer parts. So
Right.
there was just thousands, probably not thousands, but hundreds of different CDs just stacked up everywhere, and we had computers just everywhere as well, monitors. So that's where I kind of probably developed my first passion for technology, just seeing my dad in that space. So long story short, my dad, he was previously a devout Buddhist, and then became a Christian, and then through that journey, he kind of switched up his career as well, and followed a path of more of being a minister, a pastor. So that's that journey. But yeah, so I kind of grew up in that sort of, I guess, environment. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. But if you can imagine, immigrant parents in Perth, surrounded by tech. I wouldn't say I was a very geeky person. I was probably quite cheeky.
Okay.
Geeky.
Right.
I definitely just like to be outdoors.
Yeah.
So I was more of an outdoors kid. I love my BMX bikes. That was back in the 90s, so we didn't have any smartphones and all this tech that we have now. Yeah, good old days, right? Where we spend our times outdoors. So I was a very outdoors kid growing up, pretty much.
Yeah, wonderful. So after that, you went to Cowan University for your bachelor's, and you did mechatronics there.
Yeah.
And you graduated in 2017. Mm-hmm. What was it like doing mechatronics? And why did you choose that? What lit you up?
I guess what got me interested in mechatronics was back when I was in high school, so year 10. Mm-hmm. There was, I don't know if they still do it now in high schools, but there was a curriculum where you get given a book of all the different roles that exist in the world, and mm-hmm. you kind of go through that book, and then you select like your top 3 preferences. And I remember coming across engineering, mm-hmm. and then engineering, there's probably hundreds of different disciplines in engineering. So I was reading through every single one because I always thought of myself as an inventor. Mm-hmm. I recall my childhood watching this movie. I forget when it was made, but it was called Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Okay.
And it's basically the story of this dad. I think he was a single dad as well. He had 2 kids, and then he basically turned his house. I mean, he was like a madman that invented all these awesome gadgets for his house and everything. I just thought that was super cool, mm-hmm. And that kind of stuck with me, I guess, all the way to year 10. And
yeah.
I was like, how do I become someone like this? And when I was reading through this coursework book thing, engineering, that's mm-hmm. basically what it is. You're kind of like an inventor. You're kind of solving problems. You're creating solutions by form of product or what have you.
Yeah.
So mechatronics, I got into mechatronics because I came across the word mechatronics, and then I was like, oh, this is a combination of computer engineering, mechanical engineering, and electrical engineering. So basically it's robotics engineering. There's a bit of coding in there. There's mechanical things in there. I was really a big Lego fan as well. So it had all the elements of what I guess probably identify myself with as a kid growing up that wants to do cool things. I picked that and I stuck with it. So I went through year 11 and 12, and then applied for the university course as mm-hmm. a mechatronics and motorsports engineering. So I was a big fan of cars. And I wanted to be a motor car engineer, basically. Mm-hmm. So when there was a course that had both of those elements, mechatronics and motor, I thought this is the dream.
Wow, that sounds like a perfect fit. I was speaking to one of our guests in the last episode where we were talking about how that guest also wanted to do robotics. And I feel like it's kind of a common interest in boys worldwide, where there's fascination towards robotics and cars.
I don't know what it is. Why do you think that might be?
I don't know. Like, what's not cool about robots, right? That's where I'll rest my case.
Yeah.
So I also know that you went and did an internship straight after finishing that course as well.
Yeah.
So what did you work on? Are you allowed to discuss some of the things that you did?
Yeah, I can. I did sign an NDA, so I probably can't go into too many of the deep. But basically, it's all out there anyway. They were a startup in electric vehicles. So just not any random electric vehicles, but they were developing the world's fastest and most powerful electric drag car.
Okay.
So how you got nitrous drag cars that consume hundreds of liters probably through a race. Mm-hmm. The exact same car, but it's powered by an electric motor. I forget the stats, but it was something like, I forget. This is going back 6 years ago now. So, and a lot's happened since then. But it was like
state of the art.
Yeah. So basically 0 to 600 kilometers per hour.
Wow.
in like 3 seconds kind of thing.
Right.
It's called Top EV Racing. So if you Google it,
Okay.
yeah, all the stats are there.
Right.
It's kind of never been done before. So it was the first of its kind.
Yeah.
And the founder that I was working under, he was a genius. I can quite clearly say probably a Perth own genius, right? He grew up kind of similar to my story, just tinkering with electronics. He built a sound business, so developing extreme sound systems for cars, and yeah, I guess long story short, he founded this company, this startup, where he developed, I guess, never before seen electric motors. So
Okay.
I believe now. I believe now he has and implementing these battery packs and these motors for various industries now. So but that was a long time ago, and a lot's happened since then. So
yeah, but again, like it sounds to me like one of those gigs that anybody who's interested in robotics would be interested in.
Yeah, 100%.
Anybody in cars, which both of you were. Yeah, and 600 kilometers an hour drag racing. Usually drag races like are obviously hyped up cars, spec'd up cars.
Yeah.
But they go on to 200, 250 k's an hour, 600. We're talking about a completely different territory here.
Completely different, yeah. It was a completely different class of cars as well. I mean, the very first top EV race car or drag car. So I guess, yeah, that was more of a, more of a POC, just to prove that these electric motors and these battery packs can power such enormous amounts of kilowatts or megawatts, maybe.
Yeah. And this was in 2018.
This was from 2013, really. So I met this founder through a university mentorship program.
Okay.
So at ECU, there was a mentor-mentee program, and as a first-year freshman in engineering, they had this program running. So I signed up, and then I went to the program, and then they matched me up with this guy.
Yeah.
So ever since then, I just continually kept in touch because he was such an interesting guy, and then when I graduated, by that time we'd already communicated a lot. So he was quite well aware of the work that I was doing in motorsports, and that was applicable to the startup that he was running. So he just said, "Why don't you jump on board?" Yeah. So I was probably the second guy that came aboard. Well, he had a friend that did all the videography and sort of marketing stuff. So I guess you could say I was the second or third guy.
Wow.
On the team. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's lots of lessons there. First is, if you're in university and if an opportunity comes up, like say yes, put your hands up, right? Like, and you never know how a connection is going to evolve in the future and what might come out of that. So that's an incredible story. I now want to switch gears to another part of your life, another chapter of your life. I know that you had a road accident in 2019.
19, yeah, that's right.
So
July
and that
2019.
July 2019, and that kind of shook everything up for you personally, and you went through a long period of rehab as well.
Yeah, that's right.
So what went down, and how did you feel like to go from your regular life to not knowing what's next?
Yeah, it was definitely an experience. So, I was just going through life. I was fresh to Sydney. I'd moved over to Sydney at that point, and I was, just kind of starting my life fresh from a personal circumstance that happened back in Perth, and yeah, look, I got into an accident, a pretty serious accident in July, 2019, around July, where I ended up breaking my neck in 2 places. So I broke my C2, my C7 vertebrae. I dislocated and broke my pelvis as well in a few areas. So I had to go through long bouts of rehab. I was in the hospital for about 2 months. I was actually bedridden for 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks, so I couldn't move from my bed. They had me laying down flat 24/7, so I developed all these bed sores, and then I ended up going through 3 different major trauma surgeries. So initially they wanted to do a spinal fusion, and then I kind of pushed back on that. I wanted a bit more of a holistic solution, so then they came back and said we'll put a halo brace. So I was in this 8-kilo halo brace that kind of keeps your neck rigid, so you cannot move your neck, and it's just this, it's like a cage on your body. So I was in that, and following that, I was in rehab for 6 months. So just a lot of physiotherapy, a lot of specialist care. So I guess through that experience and then various other personal experiences, by that time COVID was fresh news, and that was probably 6-8 months after my accident. So by that time I started recovering, and I started integrating myself back into the workplace as well. So you can imagine I went through this traumatic motorbike accident, basically almost fully recovered, and now the world's going through COVID. So now it's a different challenge, it's a different obstacle. So through that, I basically realized I needed to get into a job or do something that involves that doesn't involve a physical presence as much, and something that's a high income skill as well. Always want to increase my wealth, right? So that led me to software engineering. So that's kind of where I got back into tech.
Before we go into software engineering, I want to stay with this road accident that you had. I know that your faith is something that you strongly identify with, and you have a small little daughter as well. How did your family and your faith play a part in your recovery and getting back to regular life?
It played a huge part. I cannot discount my family's support. I cannot, I guess, deny my faith in helping me through these traumatic experiences. I mean, I was relatively new to Sydney after, following a divorce I went through back in Perth, and I was just setting up my life. I was starting afresh, so I didn't really have a lot of. I didn't really know a lot of people in Sydney, and then I had this motorbike accident, and now I'm in hospital, and everything's happening, right? So through that, being alone, I had an overwhelming sense of peace that everything's going to be okay. I always joke to my mother. She didn't find it funny back then, but I told her it's like a holiday. Like I can take a break from all these things that have happened, especially going through the divorce and stuff. It's just a mental break. Even though I was in hospital, it was like a forced rest. But it felt like that because of my faith, my belief in God, and that He takes care of all things. You find most Christians will say Jehovah Jireh, which means Lord God, our provider. So He provides all things. And some of the things was peace, and I guess through that experience I had people visiting me every day, people that I didn't know, people that had heard of my accident, that knew somebody, that knew me, like mutual connections. They would come at least visit, give their words of support. Many times people would bring food from outside because hospital food isn't that great. Like that, things like that really helped solidify my faith. But the faith was already there.
Yeah. So you're in Sydney at this point, obviously, where you had your road accident, and you. I think you did some jobs as a sales position.
That's right.
And you also worked as a barista. Was that during the time of your rehab when you did that?
It was. So I guess my first job when I landed in Sydney was a sales job. Being new to the city, I kind of picked any job. I had a mutual contact in Sydney through my father. and he ran a Korean cosmetics manufacturing business
Okay.
in Sydney. So his business was mostly exports. So he would make locally produced like hand creams, face creams, and then export them to Asia.
Okay.
Because they love that Australian-made logo.
Yeah.
But he didn't have a local presence. So basically, my job was to build out the local market.
Okay.
So it was a lot of B2B door knocking sales.
Right.
Just going to pharmacies, different souvenir shops, and trying to introduce our product into their shop.
Yeah.
So that was my job initially, and then from that I kind of picked up odd barista jobs just to get to know the city a bit more. So I wanted to familiarise myself with the city, different areas of Sydney. So barista work is really great in that sense because there's cafes everywhere. So if you're a good barista, if you make good coffee, there's a lot of cafes that are going to take you on.
Yeah.
So that was basically what I was doing
Cool.
before the accident as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And after that, you went and tried your hand at a career in tech, right? You did a boot camp where you sort of picked up software engineering and so Mechatronics. There's a period where you had your accident, and then now tech. Your career has got twists and turns like K-drama, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about it. So how did you decide to go back to programming, and what was that like?
Yeah, I think that was always the goal when I left Perth. I went through the divorce, so it's a funny thing when you go through something emotionally as traumatic as a divorce, I guess. Don't wish that upon anyone. You lose all motive or drive. I don't know, it might be for not maybe all people, but maybe most people, maybe most men that go through it. So that I kind of went on a tech hiatus. I mean, everything up until that point, I didn't. I wanted to do something else. So I guess through the accident and then through the beginning of the COVID phase, kind of led me back to tech.
Yeah.
I always wanted to come back to tech in some shape or form, and I felt programming would be the perfect avenue. Use a high income skill. If you're good at it, right, and remote work, that was the main thing. I always wanted to be like a digital nomad.
Yeah.
So that kind of led me to a place called Coders Academy, where I enrolled into their 6-month boot camp course. So like a full-time, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Boot camp course, learning the MERN stack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's very interesting. Very Skillaroo vibes.
Skillaroo vibe, yeah, nice.
And I know that it didn't catch on. You didn't actually go and build a career as a software engineer, right? So how did you realize that programming is probably not my thing? So how did you come to that realization?
Through a lot of bugs.
Okay. So I should have quit a long time ago then.
Yeah. Well, no, that's probably bad advice because you want to work through those bugs. No, I definitely it was probably like the fourth, final months of the boot camp.
Okay.
I just realized that I was more of a people person. So as much as I love tech, I couldn't see myself, bashing out code in front of a computer for long hours. Maybe I just couldn't wrap my mind around it. Maybe I was in a, sort of different mood back then. But what I really was able to determine is that I enjoyed through group projects as well. I kind of was like the self-designated product lead.
Okay.
And I kind of just felt like I enjoyed talking with people a lot more. And I had about 30 classmates. Most of them were all techies as well.
Okay.
I got along with everyone, and kind of seeing the differences in, I guess, how they approach problems and how I approach problems.
Okay.
I thought, okay, these guys are very smart. They're going to be amazing developers one day, and I probably can't compete.
Okay. So being around a bunch of programmers made you realize that that's probably not what I want to do, and that's probably not what I am good at.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to stay on this. A lot of people in our Skillaroo community will resonate with this, but I get a lot of folks who are trying to learn coding, right? They want to be software engineers for the same reasons, great career, flexibility, and all that. So they try their hands at coding, but they pivot. They can't sort of make their way through it, right? So what's your advice for somebody like that who's grinding through a boot camp, but the passion probably is fading, it's probably not there. So what would you advise them, to stick with it, or
Yeah, it's a really good question. I would, from personal experience, and personal genuine advice, stick with it.
okay?
Even though I probably realized, kind of third, fourth month in, that this isn't going to be for me, but I wasn't going to quit. I was going to at least follow through with the boot camp, get my diploma, and then just see if I change my mind at the end of it, because it might have been just a hard assignment or just a really difficult bug that kind of demotivated me. And you don't want, I guess, to base your career direction off of a feeling, an emotion, right? So definitely go through it, but probably you want to ask yourself the hard questions, like, why am I doing this? My initial goal, what I mentioned was I wanted to develop a high income skill, and I wanted to be a digital nomad. I wanted to work remotely. So whatever profession that could lead me to that, I probably would have gone anyway. But at that time, it was software development that I thought was going to be my vehicle to get to that space. So I think really honing down and really just being genuine and true to yourself and saying, hey, why am I doing a course in software development? Like, do I want to build the next greatest app, or do I just want to get a job to provide for my family that is going to allow me to work kind of flexibly? Or do I really just enjoy fixing code, or solving solutions through code? But yeah, it's going to be interesting, because I don't know how AI is going to play a role in software engineering. I don't think you don't need code as much. You can just grab things from what is it, GitHub and I forgot the other. Google, you can basically Google things.
Stack Overflow.
Stack Overflow, that's the one. ChatGPT, and then you can. I guess experience will play a part where which code will work, and what have you. So that's going to be a very different game now, I think, moving forward for software developers. So it might take even a bit more reconciling with yourself in terms of, why am I actually doing this?
But I really love what you said earlier on, where you said basically your end goal was to find some high-paying career and then be able to be a digital nomad, right? So those were your end goals, and coding was just a vehicle to help you get there. It was just a process. It was just a means to an end, not the end itself. So
that's right.
Being honest with yourself, and then sort of thinking about what your end goal is, and then working backwards from there.
That's right. Sort of like a reverse engineering mindset.
I really love it. And I know you mentioned some AI as well, but we'll get to that in a different part of the conversation. So we'll move on to your next chapter, I guess. So you did try your hand at coding. You realized that it probably is not meant for you, and then you went to tech recruiting, right? So that around 2021, you landed your first tech recruiting gig. So tell me about that.
So I slugged through the boot camp, passed and got my diploma, and I thought, look, maybe I'll just try. I got my diploma now, graduated. Let's see if I can get a grad role. So through that process, I'm applying for jobs, applying for grad roles. I'm talking to recruiters, and there was this one particular recruiter, tech recruiter, that was a specialist in the IT space that I came across. And I sort of developed some rapport with him, and got some advice. So just talking, really, just putting my feelers out there and just talking to anyone. He really helped sort of set my direction, and going back to being true to yourself. Why do you want to do software recruitment, software development? And he gave me the idea. Why don't you do recruiting for software engineers? It's recruitment. There's the potential for upside is very high. You can work remotely because you're just calling people and you're emailing. So yeah, I thought, okay, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Tell me more. And I guess long story short, 4 hours later, he basically convinced me to try my hand at software recruitment.
Okay.
So he knew a few contacts in the industry, people like Robert Walters, Hayes, and Michael Page. So he kind of helped me get my profile out to them. I had a few interviews. Hiring managers in the recruitment world were really interested in my profile because I wasn't their typical recruitment profile hire. Had a bit of sales background, but I was mostly a techie. I did a degree in engineering.
Just finished the boot
just
camp.
Finished a boot camp. So why do you want to do recruitment? So I guess I attribute this to the sales skills I developed early on. Kind of sold them why I feel recruitment is probably a better path for me, and just for the same reasons I mentioned, high income skill, work flexibility, and I love tech. A few people weren't sold on it, but there was this one agency that was really took a chance on me, they were a boutique agency in Sydney. They specialise in IT and software development. So, I joined them 2021 as a junior software recruiter, and I started recruiting for people in JavaScript, C#, .NET, backend, full stack, everything.
Tell me about a little bit of that. So, give us a day in the life of a recruiter for our audience who tend to be graduates and people looking for roles in the software industry. So from your perspective as a recruiter, what does your day look like, and how do you approach distinguishing quality talent from just someone who probably is not suitable?
So the days can vary drastically depending on which level of recruiter you are. So if you're a fresh recruiter that's just joined a company and you're building your network and your market, it looks very different to a senior or principal recruiter that's already got an established network and market and clients and candidates and stuff. So I guess to tell you briefly, I'll tell you what it's like from a junior perspective and from what it's like a senior perspective where I am at now. So a junior perspective when I was just starting out, it would be calling candidates. So I guess you want to kind of build up that network of candidates in your pool. So you're reaching out to candidates on LinkedIn and Seek, and you're having phone conversations with them. You're meeting them. You're getting to know them, right, on a deeper level besides just a CV document. So that's probably like the first few hours of the morning. Or if I wanted to break it down even more simply, I'd say the first half of the day is speaking to candidates, identifying, the top candidates compared to, the fluff that's out there. There's a lot of fluff. And the second part of the day is marketing those candidates to your network of clients or companies that you want to get into as well. So that's the life of a junior recruiter. I guess when you get to the senior level, where I'm at now, you've got an established book of clients that you do work with, that you recruit for, that you headhunt for. So now you're kind of keeping in touch with the candidates that you've known for the last several years. You know everything about them at this point. You know what they're looking for in terms of salary, in terms of like work environments. You know what type of tech stack they work with, and what type of frameworks and workflows that they're good at. You know the wife's name, the dog's name. You know everything about them. So when an opportunity comes along with one of your clients, you can call so and so and say, hey, I got this amazing role. It's just come up. It's exclusive. It's not on the market. Are you interested? And that's generally how recruitment sort of works at a very, very, very high level.
Right. And the second part of my question was, just briefly, how do you distinguish between quality talent and the fluff?
Fluff, yeah, that's right. It's very nuanced because you have many different roles, and each role requires many different attributes. But I guess if you were to sort of summarize it, and if there's one piece of advice is to really know what you want to do. having a clear why you're doing what you're doing
Okay.
is very apparent to hiring managers.
Okay.
So, if you're talking about juniors or grads, every hiring manager knows their experience is limited, and every hiring manager knows that they need a job.
Yeah.
Right. So, what are they looking for? Obviously, there's the exceptions to the rule. The 1% that are super smart and they probably just poached straight out of university, right?
Yeah, to Microsoft.
To Microsoft, right? Yeah. They've already, Microsoft have already got their eyes on them in the second year, and they're just waiting for them to, do their placements. But if you're just like everyone else, but you do your assignments, you had a high level already. Being able to, I guess, having those soft skills.
Okay.
Because the technology skill sets and experience that will come with the job. The soft skills, what I mean by that is understanding the business problem and how that applies to the benefit of the organization, rather than, if you go for an example of, AI models, instead of, just fine tuning the best AI model, how is this going to scale within the business? How is this going to, how are you going to get into production, and how is it going to basically benefit the end users, really?
Yeah.
So getting out of that mindset of just want to play with the latest technology, just want to, really just play with the latest technology and kind of geek out on that, but more so, how does it apply to the wider business? How can it benefit the people around you?
Yeah, so basically you're looking for people with a specific mindset. They're not about, I'm learning all these techniques and I know how to do RAG and I know how to do AI and neural nets. But you're looking about, I can come into your business and I can solve this business problem for you using some kind of tech that I'm good at. These are the skills that I've accumulated. But people who have business thinking and want to deliver business value, is that?
Yeah, that's exactly right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because end of the day, business is a business. They need to increase their bottom line, whether that's through cost optimizations or developing new features that's going to bring in more revenue. Business is always thinking in these terms, as you can imagine as well, right? So, instead of saying, because I get junior candidates all the time saying, I worked on all these technologies, I've got all these certifications, and I'm just like, that's really great, but like, how does this help?
What can you do?
What can you do with it? So really getting into their mindset of their logic of how they break down problems is probably what distinguishes top talent.
So that's really nice. So going from what can I do to why am I doing these things and how can I get them done? That's really great. Thank you for that, Daniel. Now, I think we have arrived at the part of the conversation where we talk about Headhunted AI. But before I get into Headhunted AI, I just want to talk about a little bit of context between the two of us. So the first time I heard from you was an email sent from this company called Headhunted AI, and it was about, hey, there's a role that has come up, and I think you'd be a good candidate, and I want to chat with you. So you sent me that email, and the reason I responded to you, apart from just trying to get into good habits and responding to recruiters, was because of the company name. I really resonated with that name, Headhunted AI, right? Okay. So, and I responded to you, and here we are in this conversation. So, my question to you is, you worked for others for a few years, and then in 2024 you launched Headhunted AI. So, what was the tipping point where you said, I'm done with working for others and I'm doing it my way?
That's a very good question as well, and I could unpack this in so many ways. But I guess up until the point where I started Headhunted AI, I worked for, I think, 4, maybe 5 different agencies. So I did move around quite a bit. I guess the turnover in recruitment is quite high. But I guess part of it is attributed to moving from Sydney to Melbourne. So, I guess naturally I was going to change roles there as well. And ultimately, I think it comes down to my drive and my ambition. I guess my ambitious nature. I guess, the entrepreneurial spirit, if you will. I've always wanted to do things my way, but not in an arrogant way, but because I genuinely feel like there's a better way to do a certain process or deliver a certain service, or if you deliver a certain product. And I guess I'm a kind of a very free thinker. I've always been a creative growing up as well, and there's different ways you can do recruitment.
Yeah.
And I feel like we weren't, working in agencies. You're kind of tied by your boss, right? Like you got to, at the end of the day, you got to do what they want you to do, which is fair enough. But I definitely felt there's more creative ways that you can engage with candidates and clients as well that were probably a bit, I guess, unorthodox, like
out of the box.
Yeah, out of the box kind of solutions. Yeah. So the tipping point really was the last organisation I worked for. I was there for about 6 months, and then we parted ways, and at the same time I had a client that I've been working with for several years at that point reach out to me for some positions in AI and machine learning.
Yeah.
So they were looking for some machine learning engineers.
Okay.
And I kind of told them the situation I was in, and they basically said, "Look, we really want to work with you. If you can, set up a shop, or figure out a way of how we can do business together. We'll follow you." So that really was the tipping point, if you will. And this was on like a Friday, so I had the weekend to go on the ASIC website and set up my ACN, ABN, everything. Got a website just done by Wix. Just get some sort of presence out there. Just bare bone basic website, ABN, and open a business bank account.
So did you like send a resignation letter to your employer, or are you still doing both the things?
No, so I guess, to be fully transparent, I didn't make probation. It was like a week before probation.
Okay.
They let me go, citing some various reasons. I guess that was 2024. Yeah, it was 2024. It was a very difficult year in recruitment. And I was working for a US stock listed recruitment agency. Okay. And their stock value was down 30% from the beginning of the year. So I believe they were just cutting costs and kind of last one in, first one out.
Right.
But yeah, looking back, like my whole team was dissolved. My whole tech team in that company was dissolved. So I guess they were just cutting costs.
Yeah, a lot of people in tech these days have gone through something similar, right? So companies restructuring, redundancies, and they're just trying to influence their bottom line somehow. And I think as a founder, I think that's a good thing that happened to you. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but to you, I think it's a good thing that happened to you, because if you don't get told by your employer to go, then that sweet feeling of getting paid recurring salary every week, it's very hard to wean off of, right? So you want to do your own thing, but you sort of are used to this luxury of recurring income. In your case, because of the fact that the company was restructuring and downsizing, so that sort of worked out quite positively, I would say.
Yeah, it's a very good point you make there, because I've always wanted to start my own business, ever since, as far as I can remember. But just the sweet drip of continuous income from an employer, it is hard to, I guess, move from that.
Yeah, and take a leap of faith
zone
into whatever the next thing is.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So Headhunted AI, we're now in late 2024. You've decided that you want to do this, and you have a potential client who wants to work with you, and you spend the weekend registering your ABN and ACN. Why Headhunted AI, and why AI specifically?
Good question again. So I guess up until that point, I've been recruiting in the data market specifically. So I know I started off as a software engineering recruitment, but that lasted for a period of 6 months, and then moved to another agency. It was a much larger agency, and they had me specialize in the data market. So I was recruiting everything from like SQL developers to data engineers to data architects, and I was really heavily immersed in the data world, and I basically threw myself into it. I was watching YouTube videos on data podcasts and just learning about what differentiates a data engineer from a software engineer and all that. So I guess Headhunted AI was derived from all that experience, and I guess the network and the market I've built over those years. It just made sense to delve into AI. By that time, AI is the trending topic. It's the it is the hot topic. So
buzz of the town.
Yeah, exactly right. So data, you build your data platforms, and then from that you clean up your data, and then you have AI capability. Logical next step, right? Is AI. So
that's wonderful. So I know that one of our Sclera students helped you set up your website for the business as well.
That's right, yeah.
So how cool is it to see the next generation of talent coming up and stepping up and getting things done?
It's really cool because Bishal, he was amazing because it was so casual for him. Like he was able to just whip up an awesome website in a very little amount of time and have it look really professional. The UX, UI worked really well as well. So to be able to see the next generation of talent come in and develop a product so quickly, and he was very knowledgeable in the different stacks and how it works, and he was even going a step further with like how this would work with SEO implementations and a whole bunch of other things. So he wasn't just thinking about get a website. He was thinking ahead. How this would have helped my business down the line. So it was really cool to see someone at such a junior level in terms of years of experience give me that advice and help me with my business. So that was awesome.
Just want to sort of tie it back to what we spoke about earlier, right? So the difference between great candidates and not great candidates is focusing on the tech stacks that I can work on and focusing on the client's problems that I can solve. And in your case, it sounds to me like Vishal came in with this attitude to solve your problems.
That's right.
Rather than trying to prove that he knows CSS and JavaScript.
That's right. That's 100% right. He took one look at my website, and then he realized what was wrong with it, and then he realized the best course of action. And he didn't give me just one solution. He gave me several.
Okay.
And then he came back. He looped back and kind of explained why he reckons that this particular solution would suit my business well, and then explain the reasonings why, and then it all made a lot of sense, and it was perfect for my business. It's
wonderful. Daniel, I want to talk about AI now, right? So that's the buzz of the town. That's where the industry is going, and maybe that will be the buzz of the town for the next couple of years as well. So how do you personally make sure that you're updated with whatever is coming up, whatever the latest talk of the town is? How do you make yourself you're informed and you're using the tools?
There's a number of ways. First one, very easy one, is I sign up to a lot of newsletters. So every morning I just quick 30 minutes when I'm having my coffee, just browse through the different newsletters that come out. But the main one is talking to candidates, talking to hiring managers, talking to clients. Basically, they are on the front lines, so they are the ones going to all these conferences and events in AI. I spoke to a candidate / hiring manager yesterday. He went to the Google event where they were talking about the Google Suite, AI agents using the Google environment. So these are very valuable conferences because conferences cost a lot and can't attend all of them, but you can talk to all these people that do attend these events. And I'm constantly getting information from them, and I'm constantly building my notebook up of all of all the stuff that they're seeing and hearing as well. So, so that's probably the best way because that's actual real.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, that's a great strategy. So obviously there's a lot of hype around AI, generative AI, and everybody's scared how it's going to take all of our jobs one day, right? So that probably is still years away. But today, how has AI impacted your role as a recruiter? Do you have things become much faster, better for you? Has it significantly impacted the day-to-day and what you do as a recruiter?
Yeah, to be honest, I couldn't imagine going back to recruiting without AI.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I've embraced it.
Okay.
And I want to embrace it more. The more tasks can automate for me in my day-to-day life, would be the better. I feel as a recruiter. But you know, going back to AI taking people's jobs, I think AI does the tasks that it does really well. The tasks that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And the tasks that we humans do, we do it much better than AI does. So we just, I guess, want to get AI to automate the stuff that we don't really want to do.
Yeah.
Things like admin and kind of screening calls, for example, if you want to relate it to recruitment. Are very easy calls where you can just use maybe an algorithmic approach with an AI agent to just go through a step series of different questions.
Yeah.
And then have like the deep and meaningful conversations with a live human.
Yeah.
So, I think I use AI from obviously ChatGPT to kind of help review things, review notes, summarize notes. When I'm interviewing candidates over Zoom, I'm getting a live transcript, and then that's getting fed into an AI to extract all the insights from that conversation as well.
Yeah.
So things like that. I've gotten it to a point where through various prompts and stuff, where it can help sort of refine emails as well, so it doesn't sound like a robot. Because that's probably one mistake. A lot of people that use ChatGPT, they don't really fine-tune it, I guess, in that sense.
Especially in your role, like where you're talking to high-value candidates.
Exactly.
You don't want to give the impression that you just copy-pasted a text from ChatGPT.
No, that's the worst, right? Because it's very noticeable now,
Yeah.
and if it's from ChatGPT. But because I like to flesh my ideas out just by dumping it in like a note, and then I've got my I guess agent set up so he kind of refines it, and then I refine it further by rewriting it myself, but with all the correct grammatical mistakes removed, and spelling mistakes, and just all the little mundane things that really tie up my time. I just
busy work.
Yeah.
So Daniel, I think this question is going to be controversial, right? So everybody has their own opinion about this question, but as a recruiter, I want to ask you this. Should a candidate be allowed to use AI during recruitment process? So whether it is an interview or it's a technical round, should they be allowed to use AI?
I feel as might get some slack for this, but I feel like they should.
Okay.
Yeah, because AI is here to stay. It's not like it's going to disappear. It's not a fad that's going to phase out. You got industries, you got nations, you got America, $500 billion investing. So it's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be here to stay. It's probably the next industrial revolution. We have cars and machinery manufacturing. Now it's going to be the information revolution, where AI is going to basically be integrated in all areas. So I think, but in which way are you going to use AI in an interview? That's probably the question you want to ask, right? So are you getting, because you've seen reels, right, where
so there's
they got
preparing an answer.
Yeah, exactly. So that's I don't think that's ethical at all, right? I think if you're going to answer a question, you should answer it through
your own intellect.
Your own intellect. Your from yourself.
Yeah.
But if there's maybe like, I don't know, maybe like a technical exam, code challenge. Just see how the candidate uses AI to their advantage. Not getting the AI to write the whole code, because there will be bugs in that.
Yeah.
But how the I guess the software engineer uses AI to produce code or solve the problem with AI, but they understand what they are doing. So it's not like they just handing that responsibility over to AI and expecting ChatGPT to give them the answer, but chopping and changing the results from the AI and then putting their own results and then their own reasoning, or why did I take this section or that section and put it into here, and this is why. So I think in some ways integrating AI.
I definitely agree with that. And chances are when you hire that candidate, you're going to allow them to use AI to do their job anyway, right? So if you're planning to not have them use AI to do their job, then one, you're losing competitive advantage in business. Number two, you'll probably not get that candidate because they'll go somewhere else where AI is allowed to be used because developers want to use latest and greatest tools to do their life's work, right? So I definitely agree with you. I had a saying that I read somewhere that it goes like this. So mediocre engineers use AI to do their job. Good engineers use AI to do their job better. Right? They already know how to do the job, but they just do it better. Amazing engineers cannot use AI to do their jobs because AI has not been trained on the data that is required for them to do their job. So they're basically working in the cutting edge, right? So AI cannot answer these questions yet. So that's kind of how I see it as well. So if somebody is using AI and just not really aware of what AI is doing to build a system for them, then I think they're not learning anything. There's chances for bugs. But if they're using AI, but they can actually monitor the output and they can sort of make sure that it's working correctly and it is in fact what they want the AI to do, then you get amazing results. I think I definitely agree with you there. All interviewees should be allowed to use AI because that's what the future is going to be like. It's kind of like saying like you're not allowed to use internet and now go and do this report, right?
Exactly. Like you cannot research the internet, right?
Exactly.
Definitely, because maybe back in the 10, 20 years ago when computing resource and computing power were very limited and also very expensive. And you needed a software engineer that can make 3 lines of code work much better and more efficiently than someone that writes 10 lines of code and does the same thing. I think now, because you have all these advances in hardware as well, and prices are going down, you don't really need to write the most beautiful, clean code anymore. You just does it solve the problem, and can we move on to the next issue? Yes? Okay, let's do it.
Thanks, Daniel. So as an entrepreneur, what would be your advice to other entrepreneurs looking to leverage AI in their work?
I would say kind of reevaluating their business and seeing where AI could really benefit them. Understanding what parts of their role or business do really well from a human perspective. Like for recruitment, it's the relationship side of the thing. So, meeting with your candidates and clients and just getting to know them is probably something that AI can't replace. So, looking at ways where AI takes away the boring aspects of your job.
What are the things that you're doing at Headhunted AI with agents?
So we've recently built an AI resourcer, so an AI agent that does all the screening calls and I guess resourcing of the candidates. So this agent goes out into the World Wide Web, scrapes LinkedIn profiles, Seek profiles, all the profiles that are out there on the web, identifies candidates that are in AI or data and potentially looking for work, and then it will call them automatically.
Wow.
It will do that. There's another method where a candidate can input their details on a form that we have, and then the AI agent will give them a call, and then basically have a conversation with them, which is the basis of every initial recruiting call. So whenever a recruiter reaches out to a new candidate that's on the market, they ask basic questions, like what are you looking for? Is it contract or perm? What type of salary expectations do you have? What's your visa status? That kind of stuff. So these are just kind of same questions that you ask everyone. So we automated this to an AI agent. So we developed this agent that does this, and it does it 24/7 really.
Wow.
So you could, if you feel like it's 1 a.m. and you can't sleep and you feel like you want to look for a new job because you hate your boss or whatever, you can talk to this AI agent, and then the agent will determine if this person is eligible for any live roles we have, and then if it is, then it will automatically schedule a call or a Zoom call by looking at my calendar and then locking that in. And then it will send me the notes of the conversations it had. It will send me the resume if they shared the resume. So by the time I wake up in the morning, I'll pull up my laptop, 8 a.m. and then I see, oh yeah, I've got 5 slots booked in, and these are the people that want to have a conversation with you. These are the notes, and then you go and have that conversation, that more meaningful conversation. We can kind of extract and understand like their soft skills and cultural fit and stuff for your clients. So I think that part is it's in beta phase. So we are still refining.
Yeah.
A few things like you would with anything. So, but I really am excited for that future where we have an AI agent working.
Would you say like you're faster than the rest of the recruitment industry in implementing these AI for recruitment tools, or would you say kind of industry has moved along and embraced AI as well?
Yeah, there's like 2 groups. There's the recruitment. There's the recruitment. There's the recruiters that don't believe AI can replace them, and they are right to some respect. I don't think AI will completely replace the recruiter, but a recruiter using AI will replace just a legacy or traditional recruiter.
Yeah.
So I think if companies are smart, they will try to integrate AI. And I know there are, for example, the organisation I was working with previously, they started implementing ChatGPT into their CRM. So there are ways, but I think it's going to change drastically, I think, in the recruitment industry, like having AI agents that can replace, your traditional resourcer and, automate a lot of aspects of the job. So you have, you probably get to a stage where you have AI agents doing initial outreach calls. So, sales, BD calls basically.
Yeah.
And going through a list of 1,000 maybe contacts and just continuously updating. And then, basically presenting you, the lead recruiter, the human recruiter, with like a list of qualified leads that you can call, and then, you have a higher success rate of conversion through that.
I have a quick follow-up. Let's not spend a lot of time on it, but I do want to get your perspective as well. So recruiters using, let's say, lead generation AI agents for doing that initial conversation, making sure that they're eligible and they meet the they check the boxes. What would you think if the applicant on the other end is also using AI to answer those ticking box activities?
Yeah, that's where it gets into the matrix, where you got agents talking to each other.
Are we relevant anymore?
Yeah, I know. It blows my mind when I think about that, because it can apply to a lot of industries, like, I guess in the federal government, you can have that where customer service, like Centrelink. So many industries that can be impacted by this. Travel agencies, agents just talking to each other. Yeah,
I just spent an hour last week trying to do a roadside assist claim, and AI agents can't get here soon enough, right? Like, why am I spending an hour on the phone? But anyway, we digress. So the next question I had for you, which is the last question for our conversation today, is what are your plans for Headhunted AI in 2025 and beyond?
So, we started off as a recruitment company, a recruitment company that specializes in, headhunting and resourcing top talent in AI and machine learning. So we want to be seen as, the leaders in this space. We don't recruit anything else outside of this industry. So that's the reason behind that, is to maintain the quality of the candidates and industry knowledge. So the long-term goal, will be to envision this recruitment agency as a specialist agency first and foremost, and then also how to integrate AI into, I guess, the business as well. Develop AI products, AI-powered products for the recruitment industry to help basically streamline it, to help increase the candidate experience as well.
Yeah.
These are all very important factors to Headhunted AI, and maintain that human element as well, because I think that is the key driving force of what separates a great recruiter from just a good recruiter.
Absolutely. That sounds incredible. All the best to Headhunted AI and your plans. I'm sure with you at the forefront, you're going to achieve these things in no time. Then we'll reach at the end of our conversation, but I do have a quick round of rapid fire for you.
All right.
So the idea of this round is for me to ask a question and for you to respond in as little words as possible. Okay. Whatever the first
as
thing
little as words as possible. Okay.
Whatever the first thing that comes to your mind is. Okay. So the first thing I'll ask you is just for a prep. Okay. Mountains or beaches?
Mountains.
Mountains. Okay. All right. So you know the gig.
Yeah.
The first question is, what's that one skill that every tech newbie needs in their toolkit?
Communication.
Communication.
Yeah.
Wonderful. What's the biggest interview flub you've seen candidates pull?
Flub.
Yeah.
As in like
making things up. Yeah.
Saying they've worked on a particular project, when they were just maybe an observer.
Okay.
So.
Is that common?
It's a bit more common than you think.
Okay.
Yeah. I tend to find out quite quickly. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Next one. What's the best cold email trick that sealed the deal for you?
They have a very strong why of why are they doing what they're doing.
Okay.
And they're able to articulate that very clearly.
Yeah.
They're not going off on all these random tangents.
Yeah.
They basically listened to the question and they answered it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Next one is, what's one tech trend that you're all in on for the next 5 years?
One tech trend that I'm all in. I think it's agents.
Agents?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I almost guessed that before you said that. And the final one for you is, if you could automate one part of your life with AI, what would it be?
Oof. The laundry. It's got to be the laundry.
Laundry.
I absolutely hate the laundry.
For me, it's the kitchen. It's the cooking and doing the dishes.
Yeah.
I think we have similar kind of desires for AI.
Yeah.
For it to do our tiring, boring work.
Yeah.
So cool. So we have arrived at the end of our rapid fire as well. Unfortunately, which means we are towards the end of the episode. So Daniel Kim, from Mechatronics to motorbike mayhem to AI to entrepreneurship. What a journey. Thank you so much for coming here today and sharing your expertise and experience with our audience. Where can our audience connect with you?
First of all, thank you for having me. Really enjoyed the conversation. They can connect with me on LinkedIn, really. You can just type in Daniel Kim or DK.
Okay.
You should be able to find my LinkedIn profile up there. Send me a connect request. I've got my email and mobile number up there as well, so feel free to reach out via those means as well. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. And do you have any projects, anything upcoming in your life that you want to shout out?
So I've got a boxing match coming up in April. So that's another thing, I guess, Headhunted, boxing, I don't know, maybe that's where I got the inspiration from. So April 4th, I've got my 4th amateur bout in boxing. So if you want to come along, I've got tickets for that, and it should be a good night.
Wonderful. Yeah. There you go. You've heard it from Daniel straight. So if you're down for some amateur boxing, then you're invited to his next match. Otherwise, I hope you found out our conversation really valuable. Thank you for tuning into our episode today. Thank you. Done.
Awesome.
Cheers. I think that was really good.
That was really good, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good, yeah.